Let's start with the nation. Federal government TUC strike over subsidy pains not needed now. CBN loans most expensive to service. President meets defense chiefs. DSS warns plotters of violence. Tribunal verdict on poll, Tinubu will be confident. Trolling of federal highways to go on, says Umahi. That's tolling, actually. Owando acquires NAOC's upstream oil assets. And Sanwo-Olu drops 5 new nominees list to Assembly. Okay, should I start with who has the story in the major headline?
Oh, I have a story. I can start.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we have the President, Bola Tinubu, yesterday met with Defense Minister Abubakar Badaru and the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale. He also met with the Chief of Defense Staff, the COAS, that's the Chief of Army Staff. He met with the Chief of Naval Staff and the Chief of Air Staff. They said, reporters said that when they got out, there was a brief meeting, and when they got out of the meeting, they were not told anything, but that this meeting is usually the sort of meeting the president has with the security personnel at where they just give him like a review of what they have done, what needs to be tied up, where they need more involvement, you know, just tying up loose ends and closing gaps, and that's what this meeting is usually about. I know I was just talking yesterday with the senator that joined us saying that, you know, we need to know what the plan as per security is going forward. So it's good to see that he's having these meetings, but can we see how this plays out? And can we also, as Nigerians, know what the layout is? Yeah.
Okay, let me take the major headlines. So NLC is going ahead with their 2-day planned strike for today and tomorrow. However, the federal government and TUC, that's the Trade Union Congress, have said that it's not necessary to go on this strike. The government and the TUC warned that the 2-day strike could actually erode the recorded gains on their course to securing a greater future for workers and citizens at large. The spokesperson to the president, Ajuri Ngelale, was speaking yesterday at a television station, said that let's understand that we should delineate between an organized labor movement at large and the labor as an entity separately. According to him, he has agreed that TUC and the federal government have said that there's absolutely no need for this strike, especially because TUC was also at the same meeting with NLC and the federal government, so there was no need for this strike. They were all involved in the conversations. The NLC has taken a different position from what was agreed. According to him, his final word was that on the week on which the Presidential Election Tribunal judgment is going to be announced, it's very suspicious of NLC to be planning a strike on this same week that the election petitions will be announced by the tribunal. They're hoping that they can be rescinded on that, but it's supposed to be today and tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
Together. DSS have warned that some elements, mostly politicians, are trying to stir the public against the federal government, and they have issued a stern warning. They said that those behind the plot should perish the thoughts. No group or person will be allowed to subvert national security. This was given by the spokesman, Dr. Peter Afunaya. He said that they uncovered the plot, and anyway, they are not going to tolerate it.
Okay. Any other story in
Yes, the Minister for Marine and the Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, has directed that the Managing Director for the Nigerian Port Authority submit a comprehensive report on the dilapidated state of the Nigerian ports. And he visited Tinkan, Tinkan Island Port in Lagos. He also visited the Lagos Port Complex, and based on what he saw, he wanted a comprehensive report submitted to him immediately in his office. He said he was going to forward it to the president to seek approval for rehabilitation of the port facility. He also said that the report from EPA was necessary to know the level of the dilapidation, and assuring that the government is committed to fixing the issues. What I would like to know is, in that report, there should be an audit of how much has been spent over the last 8 years on the ports, how much has been the budget, how much has been spent on rehabilitating the ports over the past 8 years, so that we are able to also hold the contractors accountable for what they were meant to deliver on, if they did or not as well.
Okay, moving on now to the Punch. Presidential poll petitions, military police warn protesters as Tribunal delivers verdict on Wednesday. 40 years after Buhari's suspension, Lagos Light Rail begins operations. 4 suspects arrested for torturing trainee internet fraudsters. Foreign investors repatriated $5 billion dividends, says CBN. Over 1,000 lawmakers appointees get diplomatic passports. Reps summon 6 MDAs over FG asset sale. Okay, which story are we taking in Punch?
The Lagos Rail Mass Transit Blue Line system has finally begun its long-awaited commercial operations. They say 40 years after the idea for a metro line for the state was conceived. So the story is that the governor that conceived this idea was Jack Hunday, and that they had written all the papers. And in fact, it was just, this was in 1983. And the time frame they had given for this to have been achieved was till 1986. But unfortunately, that was when the military coup that brought in the military president, Buhari. And when so they couldn't do it. And then I was just wondering.
And he cancelled it.
Yes, he cancelled it. But this one, he inaugurated, he commissioned it.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, this, I just feel like there has to, yes, is it irony? Is it, you know, there has to be something in the universe, Sha. Anyways, so, 40 years after it started, we commenced operation, the governor was there with, I think this about 800 passengers yesterday. They went from Marina to Mile 2 and back.
They tried to activate it.
Yes, but they used the Cowrie card, yes.
So
we are just a little bit information about the project going. So this is the blue line. It goes from Marina to Mile 2. There's another one which will be coming up that the governor was already talking about, the Agbado to Marina. There's a purple line, Redeem to Ojo, yellow line, Ota to Ido, brown line, Mile 2 to Marina, orange line, Redeem to Marina, and green line, Marina to Lekki. So these are the ones that will be
fantastic.
coming.
Well done to Governor
Yes,
Sanwo-Olu.
well done, Lagos State.
All right, so go ahead, Waki.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the 4 suspects that were arrested for torturing internet fraudsters. They are suspected internet fraudsters, Precious Mayo, Prince Alpham, Israel Simon, Emanuela Mayo. They had recruited these young kids, and they told them, put them in a room, lock them in a room, and told them, oh yeah, start learning how to do Yahoo Yahoo.
Wow.
So those ones were not doing well. They were not doing the Yahoo Yahoo well, so they started to torture them, beat them, and they wouldn't let them out. So one day they planned to escape, and they escaped, but some of the neighbors saw them and called the police. The police came and arrested them while they were trying to, you know, jump the fence.
Wow.
And they now confess that this is what they did. So they have arrested the internet fraudsters. And
you know, if we were to see it in a Nollywood movie,
We'll say it's a lie.
just
Yeah,
So they kidnap people and forcing them to...
I don't know if they kidnapped them. They employed them.
Recruit them, yes.
They recruited them.
The Director of Defense and Information, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, warned those who might be planning to cause violence on that day to discard the idea. The tribunal, as a statement on Monday, announced it will be delivering its judgment challenging President Bola Tinubu's presidency, and the chairman of INEC, according to the report, if you recall, had declared the president a winner, and then he's been challenged by 5 major contenders, including the president, the election, the PDP presidential candidate, that's Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, amongst others. There are other parties there. So there are 5 justices we're looking forward to the judgment tomorrow. 5 key justices, that's Justice Haruna Samani, Justice Stephen Ada of the Court of Appeal, Asaba, Justice Monsurat Bolaji Yusuf, Court of Appeal, Justice Moses Ugo, Court of Appeal, Kano, and Justice Abba Mohammed of Ibadan Vision. So we're waiting to see the judgment tomorrow, and it's a really important day. It's going to be televised live on television. All interested TV stations have been invited to come in, and only accredited people within the parties will be allowed. So you just can't walk into the courtroom. You have to be accredited by either your political party or the media houses allowed. So we're waiting for tomorrow. Hope that it will be a violence-free day. Listen, and whatever announcement, we accept it.
So over 1,000 lawmakers, appointees have gotten diplomatic passports under this administration. The Nigerian Immigration Service is declaring how they are trying to revamp and speed up the process of issuance. And the acting Controller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Caroline Adepoju, has revealed in detail what has been done since she took office on the 30th, 30th of May till date. They've issued over 1,000 diplomatic passports, but the regular passports they've issued substantially. They said Nigerians should stop using agents because agents tend to use false address, false phone numbers to carry out the registration process, and is appealing that people should follow the due process and not resort to agents to help them in processing their passports. But they have issued 1,000 passports since to diplomats, and they've issued 54,000 passports. Since she came into power, they've said they've given over 337 personalized booklets have been issued both home and abroad. That's a whole lot of number between May and August in 3 months. So there's a lot of work being done to speed up timeline to get the passport. But I'm going to appeal to her that in all the good work, the point is there seems to be a correlation between how much you pay and how fast your passport comes out. And people would always want speed. So if you don't have that loophole there, people will not take advantage of it.
Okay, moving on now to Vanguard. NLC shuns meeting with federal government, starts 2-day warning strike. Why Tinubu appointed Agbaja, chief of staff, says sources. Obasanjo Sanusi blasts Buhari over reckless spending. Bola Tinubu, a president in need of help. Presidential poll, Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, no fate tomorrow. Strike. Presidential poll verdict, DSS raises alarm over violent protests. Okay, which story in Vanguard? Anybody? Okay, let me take the story about fresh details. I'm not even sure why this made major headline. But it's fresh details on the reasons why the former speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, was appointed as chief of staff. According to this article, it says shedding more light on the meticulous process behind the choice of chief of staff. The president said he had articulated his vision for an ideal chief of staff, declaring that he wanted somebody who was determined, hardworking, an individual who possessed a unique blend of qualities to navigate the complexities of the Nigerian politics successfully. He wanted somebody who had experience, who was decisive, and who was thorough, and who was somebody who he was close to and he was loyal to him, and that was Femi Gbajabiamila. How that made front page? I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I wanted to take the Obasanjo and Sanusi
back and forth.
Yeah, they are accusing the president, the former president, of reckless spending.
Okay, so that's
because I read it in both papers. Tribune was more
explicit.
Yeah. So Obasanjo was just saying that he was spending, that the president was spending most of the money on servicing debts, and Buhari was spending money recklessly. I know Buhari didn't understand economics, but that he was even worse than he thought.
So you were just dragging him, Sha. They are just dragging the former president.
They were dragging. Obasanjo was dragging him, but Sanusi was more. Sanusi, he said that, look, jobless people, just because they were buying dollars
became wealthy.
Took
advantage.
We were buying jets. They were buying the dollar at, I think, 300, 400, and selling it at 540, and that's. When he was there, the dollar was 150. That people are saying that he's taking Tinubu's side. That it's not that he's taking Tinubu's side. That the government that Tinubu took was a bad government. So he's waiting for Tinubu to do his own before he talks about Tinubu. But right now, the person he can talk about is Buhari, who was...
There was something he also said I found interesting. He said an inexperienced boy who has no record of service, has a private jet, and owns houses in Dubai and England just because he's buying dollars and selling it. You know, so you don't need to have any qualifications, nothing, just to be able to buy and sell. And, you know.
Become a big boy overnight.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was
No
what
proper foundation.
Emefiele, he
Encouraged.
and he encouraged it, and many of them were his friends.
Right.
This is why people were talking against him.
And nobody now is defending him. All his friends, they fought their private.
They've
So he's
taken what they
alone.
need to take and they
Yeah,
go.
and he's
Friends
alone
for-
by
He's
himself.
alone. They
did
might be
sex
sending
custody.
him texts. Those
Yeah,
Those are the nice
all.
ones. Those are the nice ones.
Any other story in Vanguard?
Yeah,
I know
That moved
of
on.
someone that became a billionaire.
Because of
This
that.
matter.
Ah,
Dollar matter. Any story in
Yes.
Vanguard? Should we move on?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have a story in Vanguard.
Where is Booting? Yeah.
So I saw the article and it was really interesting. Bola Tinubu, a president in need of help. And, you know, the headline is couched in a way that will make you feel what's going on here.
Vanguard now.
No, but if you understand it, he said the comment is about weighing 100 days of the president being in office and the fact why they believe the president needs help. And they explained something that the president is not, nobody dies from falling into a river. They die from being submerged into the river. And he broke down, the writer broke down the concept of what the president knows and how it impacts the known and unknown factor. They said the president knows the fact that the subsidy issue needed to be stopped. We needed to stop paying subsidy. But what the president probably didn't know is the fact that we have a dubious system of importation and a dubious volume of consumption. He said the president also might not know that there is, he has to bridge the gap. He knows the fact that we need to float the naira, but they don't know the fact of how to bridge the gap between parallel markets and the official window. So he's talking about the issues the president has dealt with now and how the unknown side of those issues are becoming obvious. So we have removed subsidy, but we still have challenges with PMS availability or importation challenges. We have floated the naira, but we still have parallel price different from official rates. So there are actually issues where it might seem like the president needs help. But I also like when we put these comments outside, we put in a very viable solution option for the president as well.
So that was an editorial, so he was explaining his opinion, which is interesting. Any other thing in Vanguard? Should we move on? The Nigerian Tribune banks aviation other unions to join strike. Civil service payroll bill scares me, says Tinubu. Ekiti Airport, PCC takes up farmers, agitators over unpaid 429 million naira compensation. 800 passengers on board as Sanwo-Olu inaugurates commercial operations on Lagos Blue Rail. Politicians plotting to stage violent protests nationwide, says DSS. Nigeria's economy was put in a mess under Buhari, says Sanusi Lamido. Okay, Mariam, want to start?
Yes, I do. So the Public Complaints Commission has pledged to mediate in the crisis between the Ekiti State government and farmers. So these farmers are protesting an alleged non-payment of 429 million naira compensation that's owed them by the state after their crops were destroyed for the construction of the state's international cargo airport. So they protested and went to the office of the Public Complaints Commission, and they have their ear. And the Federal Commissioner in charge of the Ekiti PCC has said that, first of all, he described the displacement of these landowners and farmers from their lands without compensation as crass injustice. He says the first thing you should do in a case like this is to first compensate these people, but then to ignore them and to go on as if nothing has happened. So he's calling on the government, and they're going to be talking about it. Please, it's 429 million naira. It's a small amount of money for a state compared to these people's livelihoods. You just took it away, and then you're hoping to just continue construction or nothing for these people. So I hope that they are duly compensated,
Right.
and other state governments should learn from this, please. Let's not have
Okay,
poor
so
people
our
crying.
president has expressed concern about Nigeria's bloated civil service payroll. According to him, he was having a meeting with Andres Garcia, the vice president of Oracle, and he was saying that each time they give me the payroll, the number I look at, I get so frightened.
I can imagine.
Where am I going to get the capital to develop the infrastructure we desperately need when about 2% is consuming all our revenue? That's pretty heavy. According to him, I think we need a tight technological control that can check and balance all our transaction processes. I'm looking forward to working with Oracle because I have the belief that they are confident that they can do the best. If you recall, Oracle was what was introduced in Lagos to help to automate the payroll system to make it easier. So he's saying that we have to get that on the federal level because that's the only way
Ghost
we can...
workers.
Ghost workers.
Even if we remove ghost workers, we can't fire people. So I think there could also be a meeting to increase productivity, because if everybody in the ministries and MDAs are doing their work and producing income.
Have you seen?
I agree with you.
The
Before
ghost
you-
workers. Have you seen the number of people when states bring the list?
Yeah.
You're shocked.
Before
Nearly
before even train people, increase productivity, let's even be sure that
We are
those
paying
still-
those.
yes, they are alive and they are working.
Yeah.
Once we
I'm
have
even surprised that
all the fake jobs.
still have ghost
the
workers.
Senate is not frightening him. The Senate salaries and the
No,
House of
that one is not so much.
If you look at it,
What?
the
It's
heaviness-
not.
Civil
As compared to
Michael, let me
civil
give you an
service.
example.
Ha.
Even we keep complaining that our refineries are not working, but do you know the workers there are still being paid?
Yes.
Refineries have not been working for years.
Since so,
but those people working there
everybody.
are still every single, and even the various. So the point is that if you
I
look at
heard that.
Senate, 300 people, if you look at all the
They're
various
resuming
sectors,
work. They go to work.
all the various sectors
including,
that are
including
so
the
it's
Senate.
still
They
the
just
heavy-
include all.
everybody.
If you ask the Senate, then he will just give up.
Anyways, we have to run. I think that's all we can take.
Oh, so sad. The major headline is saying that banks, aviation union are going to join the strike. That's going to really shut down the economy.
It's kind of.
Banks
Why?
joining the strike will shut down the economy. Aviation
I wonder
joining the strike will
what-
shut down the economy. Whatever it is, by now the president should have told them how much the salary will be and when it will be. Like we should already have given NLC what they
It's our
need.
hot topic. We'll discuss it a bit later because it's quite interesting that it's happening on the week of the announcement. So we think, so according to the
Just a coincidence.
Ngelale, it's looking like it's a political move. But when we go on a break, when we come back, we'll discuss it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.